Well, Brexit over there in the UK just got a little more personal. Newly elected Prime Minister Boris Johnson's brother, Joe Johnson, has resigned from Parliament after 9 years, citing unresolvable tension with his own brother on Brexit. So Joe not pleased with Bojo right now. And joining us with the latest is our friend Oscar Williams-Grut, live from London. Oscar, what is going on over there? Tell us about this.
Well, this is all about the shifting emphasis within the Tory party. It's moving further to the right. They kicked out 21 MPs earlier this week who basically defied the government and voted against the government. Now, what this means is that the party is moving more towards the Brexit party, which is Nigel Farage's breakaway party. And a lot of the more moderate MPs do not like the fact that Boris Johnson refuses to rule out a no-deal Brexit, and in fact, some would argue is keen on a no-deal Brexit. That's despite multiple warnings that it would be pretty dreadful for the economy. Just yesterday, the Bank of England governor said that under a no-deal Brexit, the GDP could shrink by as much as 5.5%. Unemployment could rise above 7%. So really a pretty big shock to the economy. That's why we're seeing people like Joe Johnson leave the party. And I think really the straw that broke the camel's back was the expulsion of these 21 MPs on Monday. It included veterans like Kenneth Clarke, who's been an MP for over 30 years and is seen as, he's referred to by some people as the best prime minister that the UK never had. He's seen that highly within the party. But this also comes with the backdrop of Boris Johnson was defeated again yesterday in Parliament. He tried to get a motion for a new general election, but that was rejected. So really, it's been a pretty dreadful week for the new Prime Minister.
Yes, Oscar, dreadful week for the new Prime Minister, defeated yesterday in Parliament. We all saw the Theresa May victory memes and the photos of her smiling in the back of the car. And then today, another loss. Joe Johnson leaves. But I guess I'd ask, well, how damaging is this really in the near-term future for Boris Johnson? I mean, he is prime minister, and that happened, and he's in office now. And I just want to know sort of exactly how much weight to put on all this for the near-term future of both Boris Johnson's career and Brexit.
Well, it's very damaging for him in the near term, because what all these defections and expulsions mean is that the Conservative Party have lost the slim majority they have. I think they're now around 50 MPs short of a ruling majority. That means they can't get any legislation passed. Essentially, he's a lame duck prime minister at the moment, which is why he's pushing for a general election to try and get the numbers he needs. But, of course, the reason he's pushing for a general election, that hints at the fact that he obviously thinks this doesn't damage him in the long term. He thinks that if he does go to the people, he still has enough goodwill out there in the country to come back post-general election with a majority that will allow him to push the Brexit agenda he wants. Polling suggests that he could be right, but as we saw with Theresa May when she went to the polls in 2017, the polls can shift very quickly, and it looks like he's on pretty thin ice at the moment.
So, Oscar, what's going on in terms of the economic impact of Brexiting? We've seen in the UK, their economy shrunk in the second quarter, but what about the impact on European nations?
That's right. I mean, so far, the big impact has been on the UK. It's really hit investment. And we just had some numbers earlier in the week showing that pretty much all three major sectors of the UK economy are still stagnating, which points to a recession, another quarter of declining activity. In terms of Europe, I mean, Europe itself is not in a fantastic situation, but they've got a lot of homegrown problems or more macro problems. Germany's economy is also close to recession, but that's been linked more to the trade war. China is, of course, a massive trading partner for Germany, which, of course, means they probably don't want a hard Brexit either. But all the smoke signals coming out of Brussels point to the fact that they would rather keep the union together and have a little bit of an economic bump than, make concessions to Britain on Brexit.
All right, that's Oscar Williams-Grut with the latest on Bojo out of London. Thanks, Oscar.
Thanks, Dan.